Well, hello, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here, and welcome to my deck. It's a long weekend, and I was trying to think of something kind of fun to shoot, and I had a very special gift. I've got a few gifts from Whisky Throttle. Thank you so much, Throttle, when I came over. One was the last pour of a bourbon, the last pour of a Scotch. So I thought I better add a beer. So this will be a few of my thoughts just on a one pour of a bourbon, Scotch, and a beer. Thanks for staying with me through the break. I hope it's fun for you. This one for me is, I'm really looking forward to it. What I have here for a bourbon is one of the Orphan Barrel series. Now, I've never bought a bottle. I've had a couple of sips of this one already. But then, Throttle gave me the bottle to take home, and I thought, well, I can't really review it, so I'll just talk to you about it. Diageo, a huge company. They might even be the biggest in the world, I don't know, but they own a ton of distilleries. And they started this Orphan Barrel distilling company label. It's not its own distillery, to release much older expressions, unique kind of one-off expressions of whiskey that they have in storehouses pretty much around the world. So, this one, I think it's from the Stitzer Weller distillery, which doesn't run anymore, but Diageo owns it and had some stock. And this is some, 20-year-old bourbon. When I look online and try to find a bit more about it, it's a pretty low rye, high corn, and aged for 20 years. That's 45.1%. So this is Barterhouse, and this is the bourbon that I'll be trying with you guys today. So let's see what we catch on the nose. It's a great nose. It's welcoming. It's sweet. It's a bourbon, so it's still wrapped up in that. Somewhere around that corn, like popcorn, caramel corn. A little bit of spice on the edges, but not much. It's quite mellow, fairly sweet, very welcoming. No alcohol burn whatsoever on the nose. So gentle, sweet, toffee, vanilla. I expected more oak, but there's a little sharpness to it. Just an edge of almost a sour that might be coming. Not much else. Welcoming, gentle, but still, it's a bourbon nose, so it still has some of that oak and wood. Let's see how it tastes. Cheers. That's a good bourbon. Up front, to me, it immediately tastes like you'd expect. Again, more of that sweet caramel, high corn. But actually, even for a low rye, and I've said before, this is a fairly smooth and easy drinking the first time I tried it. But here now, I got a little bit of life in it, a little bit of cinnamon on the edge, tiny bit of clove. More of the oak came through. Surprisingly mellow for a 20-year-old bourbon. Bourbon is aged in new charred American oak, so it can get woody. Even 10, 12-year-old bourbons can start having quite a bit of wood around, and then older, you really got to be careful. This is not over oaked at all. Finish is decent, but I will say it's not as complicated as I would love for such a good story, finding old stocks of bourbon, 20 years old. This is good and a great gift. I'm not complaining, but it's not quite as good as I'd like to find. So if I'm rating this, it's a solid 4 stars. It's tough to find now, and it's priced pretty high, so it's tough for me to recommend going after, but it's a great bourbon and a pretty cool story to have a 20-year-old bourbon on yourself. that's my thoughts on the bourbon. Let's go over to Scotch. So for Scotch, another gift from Throttle. I had, and this I haven't tried yet. This was what he gave me. I poured it right out, and I smelled it, but I haven't tried it yet. This is Longrow. So it's from the Campbelltown area, and it's Springbank Distillery. That's in Scotland. It's Scotch. It's a single malt Scotch, so it's all from Campbelltown. It's all from Springbank Distillery. It's Springbank. The region is Campbelltown, right? That is, there's not that many distilleries there anymore. It used to be a massive area, but certainly Springbank, which releases Springbank, and Hazelburn, and Longrow, is a well-known distillery that comes from that area. And if I think of another tuber out there, Malted Man Cave Keith, Springbank. I am looking forward to trying this out. Now, this is one of the Longrow Red series. Now, Longrow is their peated expressions, and Red is every year they finish in a different red wine cask. So this has spent 7 years in ex-bourbon, and then 4 years in, I think this is the Cab Sav, Cabernet Sauvignon barrels. So I think this came out a while ago, like 2013 maybe was the year it came out. But every year, Longrow Red is released as a special release, and it's also released at cask strength. So this one came out at 52.1%. 52.1%, 11 years old in those two casks. Let me tell you what I think. Oh, let me just clear off a bit with water. Oh, okay. So this is a beautiful nose. This is earthy and peaty. It's still sweet and bright red berry jam, cooked jam. Oh, a little salty. Yeah. Oh, what a wonderful nose. Now, if you don't like peat, you'd still find some of that peat earth edge of medicinal. I don't think the medicinal is strong, but might put you off. But I still think you'd be intrigued by the red berry kind of cooked jam notes. But I love peat, and so I love everything about that nose. Oh, can't wait to taste this. Thanks again, Throttle. Cheers. That was really good. It was, well, there it's coming. I was going to say it was a little less bold than I was expecting. The first thing that I got actually was the coating nature, a little bit oily, and the sweetness again of the wine finish. So there's quite a bit of that red wine tannic. I know tannic sounds more bitter, so that's not what I'm saying. More the red wine, but a sweetness from that. More than I expected. Then, right at the end of the sip, or the early part of the finish, I got more into that earthy, peaty expression, and it picked up a little bit spicy. Better try another sip though. That one brought in a little broader flavors as well. Almost a bit of chocolate in there, or cooked cocoa. Yeah, actually, the second sip brought a little more of this more interesting meaty character to it. It still is surprisingly coating and gentle in the mouth for 52%. It drinks. Like in the mouth, it feels kind of, smoother, more coating than this Orphan at 45. So that's very interesting. Much broader range of flavors. Now, it's a Scotch, not a bourbon. If you don't like Scotch, and you think, oh, you compared it to this bourbon, maybe it's like bourbon. It's not at all. It's completely a Scotch. The older wood notes, the the aged wood, almost wet woods come through. Definitely the nutty barley is there. I like most whiskeys. And so on a Scotch scale, on any whiskey scale, this is first thoughts, but that's easily pushing into that 5-star that I was hoping for. And what a nice dram. I will not enjoy the rest of it here on camera. I think this one's going into the evening to be sipped and thought about. But boy, that's really something. Really nice. Okay, so as I started, I said I was going to do a bourbon, a Scotch, and a beer. So the beer I thought I'd pour on here, and I should have poured it right now, but this is a Russian Imperial Stout. And I like buying these bottles every year. I have for quite some time. This one actually came out in 2012, and you're thinking, oh, don't drink this skunky beer. But they're designed to be aged up to 13 years, this particular bottle, this Russian Imperial Stout. It's higher alcohol, it's at 10%, and I don't know enough about this particular Imperial Stout. I kind of like stouts. Well, actually, I like stouts and porters, darker beers, roasted barley, but I like this one because it came out in 2012 vintage. Here I am in 2019, but you can age it for longer, and it's supposed to age well. Let's see. So, okay, smelled it like a whiskey. Truth is, this is a full barley forward, but absolutely chocolate coffee, just bold comes right out. Give it a taste. Totally. I'll chew my way through that one later. Looks like I'm going to have a good night. But if you like stouts, actually, I would really recommend checking this out. I don't know how to do a star value. It's a whiskey channel. But if you like stouts, that one has a lot of that coffee, chocolate, cooked espresso type flavoring in it without still, surprisingly smooth and not bitter. So, well, I hope that was as fun for you as it was for me to sit down and do a bourbon, a Scotch, and a beer. Maybe, I don't know, I'm sure I'll violate copyright. Maybe I'll cut in the song just to wrap it up. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic Labor Day weekend, long weekend. And for everyone going back to school, if you don't know, I used to be a teacher, now central office, actually, not even a principal anymore. But this is the time of year to definitely support all the little ones going off to school and all the schools that are gearing up for a fantastic fall year, academic year, and hope that it goes well. Thanks for joining me. You guys have a fantastic weekend.